You can run as fast as you want, but if you're heading in the wrong direction, all that speed does is take you further away from the life you actually want. It's a harsh truth, one that most people don't realize until they've already burned years chasing something that was never meant for them. We live in a world obsessed with speed, faster growth, faster success, faster results. But what if the real secret isn't moving fast at all? What if it's about moving right? Think about it for a moment. A plane taking off just a few degrees off course won't notice the mistake immediately. Everything feels fine in the beginning. The speed is there, the momentum is strong, the progress looks real. But over time, that small misalignment becomes massive. Instead of reaching its intended destination, it lands somewhere completely different. That's exactly how life works. Direction determines destination. Speed only determines how quickly you get there. The problem is that most people confuse activity with progress. They stay busy, constantly moving, constantly doing, constantly chasing, but they rarely stop to ask a simple question: am I even going in the right direction? And that question, as simple as it sounds, is the difference between a life of fulfillment and a life of frustration. When your direction is clear, speed becomes optional. Even slow progress compounds over time. One small step taken consistently in the right direction will always outperform massive leaps taken in the wrong one. It's like planting seeds. You don't rush the growth. You ensure the soil is right, the conditions are right, and then you let time do its work. Direction is your soil. Speed is just the pace at which things grow. There's also a hidden danger in moving too fast without direction. It locks you into a path before you've had the chance to evaluate it. When you're sprinting, you don't reflect. You don't question. You don't adjust. You just keep going. And sometimes, that's the worst thing you can do. Because the faster you go, the harder it becomes to change course. Momentum feels powerful, but it can also become a trap. Look at people who burn out. It's rarely because they were doing nothing. It's usually because they were doing too much of the wrong thing. They chased goals that didn't align with who they were. They followed paths that looked impressive on the outside but felt empty on the inside. And because they were moving fast, they didn't notice the disconnect until it was too late. Direction, on the other hand, forces you to slow down at the start, but it saves you years later. It asks you to think deeply, to understand what you actually want, not what the world tells you to want. It requires clarity, and clarity requires honesty. That's uncomfortable, but it's also powerful. Because once you have direction, every step you take becomes meaningful. Another reason direction matters more than speed is that it builds resilience. When you know where you're going and why you're going there, you can handle obstacles better. Speed-focused people often quit when things slow down. Direction-focused people stay committed because they understand the bigger picture. They're not just chasing results, they're following a path that makes sense to them. And here's something most people overlook: direction creates confidence. Not the loud, showy kind, but the quiet, unshakable kind. When you know you're on the right path, you don't feel the need to compare yourself to others. You don't panic when someone else moves faster. You understand that your journey is different. You're not racing against them, you're building something that actually matters to you. Speed without direction leads to comparison. Direction without speed leads to peace. It also changes how you measure success. Instead of asking, "How fast am I getting there?" you start asking, "Am I getting closer to what truly matters?" That shift alone can transform your entire life. Because suddenly, you're no longer chasing empty milestones. You're building a meaningful journey. Of course, this doesn't mean speed is useless. Speed becomes powerful when it's aligned with direction. Once you know where you're going, then yes, move fast, take action, build momentum. But never let speed replace clarity. Never let urgency override purpose. The truth is, most people don't fail because they're slow. They fail because they're misdirected. They spend years climbing a ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. And no amount of speed can fix that. So maybe it's time to pause. Not quit, not give up, but pause just long enough to evaluate your direction. Ask yourself the questions you've been avoiding. Where am I really going? Why am I going there? Is this path aligned with who I am and what I want? Because once you get that right, everything else becomes easier. Progress becomes natural. Effort becomes meaningful. And success becomes inevitable, not because you rush toward it, but because you moved toward it with intention. At the end of the day, your life is not a race. It's a journey. And in a journey, direction will always matter more than speed. So don't just move faster. Move smarter. Choose your path carefully. Align your actions with your purpose. And then, once your direction is clear, give it everything you've got. Because it's not about how fast you move, it's about where you're headed. If this message resonated with you, take a moment today to reflect on your direction. Share this with someone who might be rushing through life without clarity. And if you're ready to start building a life with purpose instead of pressure, follow for more insights that help you think deeper, move smarter, and live better.